to the Philadelphia Eagles and how they have their roster filled with Alabama players and Georgia players. We're going to get into that, but we're going to bring on, look at this guy, number one Dallas Cowboy. Where we have somebody that's going to debate you on that, we're going to bring in a certified Philly fan. You understand me? Content creator and journalist. Give it up for Miss Symone Stanley.
What's up?
What's cracking late? How you doing?
Now, you know you never be showing that license plate on here till I came on here.
Right.
Oh, exactly.
Had that.
I got to balance it. Look what hat you got on. I knew you was coming with the shiggity. Like, you just can't show up and just be non-biased journalist. Got your shirt like,
y'all put it on my title.
Right.
I ain't put that on there. Y'all put that on there.
Well, how you doing? How you doing? Talk to us.
I'm good. How are y'all?
What's going on, girl?
Not much. What about y'all?
Man, we chilling in the mix on this Good Friday. I gotta get me some catfish today. It's Friday, so we're gonna fry some fish. Do it like we do in the country.
Catfish since last night.
Yeah,
you in Mississippi or where you at?
Yeah, I'm in the dirty Mississippi.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Symone, I seen your work and your coverage with the big microphone at the NFL draft. Mike was bigger than you. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, always got the big mic. I do a lot of work with Meta. Meta always has the big mic. You know, everybody has the mini mic. So, you know, you got to stand out, you know. So the mega mic was a hit. You know, the players, they caught off guard. So really with the mega mic, I don't even have to, like, break the ice. You know, the players are starting the conversation with me. So, like, we already starting off on a good foot, you know, laughing, joking. And they're pretty much starting the convo for me. So it was a lot of fun. Weather was amazing. That was my first time doing the red carpet for the NFL draft. And it was great, like, getting to know the players that were there, getting to know their personalities, being able to talk to them, talk to their families a little bit. So it was definitely like an amazing experience.
Yeah, good stuff. Let me ask you this now. I was first round of the draft. I was at Country Prime with the Sanders family. We did a live show. Shout out to everybody who was watching that. Unbelievable numbers of support. But what was it like on scene for NFL draft weekend at Lambeau Field to be there doing the Shadur Slide? What was the energy? What was the vibe?
The vibe, shoot, if I'm gonna be honest, I kind of felt a sense of some hate. Like, I was shocked by the slide, but I kind of felt like some people were kind of like satisfied with it. Kind of like, you know, they was kind of like plotting on his downfall. And I kind of got that vibe a little bit even before I went to the draft, like when I was doing like content with other platforms and leading up to the draft. I kind of got a sense that some like media people, they were kind of like, for lack of better terms, preying on his downfall. So I feel like a lot of people kind of thought it was funny. They were kind of like satisfied with the fact that he was sliding. You got to remember where we are. We in Wisconsin. You know what I mean? Certain people out there. You know what I mean? And I feel like they were kind of getting off by the fact that he was falling. Honestly.
Man.
Well, right now we're having like what we call a financial Friday. So I want you to give some of the people out there, the young aspiring journalists and content creators, what tips would you give them that are looking to build their brand and audience from scratch?
I would say, I know this sounds cliche, but honestly, like, being yourself, because there's a lot of people that want to be in media. There's a lot of people that want to do media. And obviously now in 2025 and just in the past couple of years, like, you can create your own platform. The barrier to entry has, you know, been low now because everyone has access to phones, and that's all you need to get started these days. So really what's going to separate you from the other person is honestly your own personality. I know a lot of people try to, you know, when they're just getting started, kind of like sound like somebody else, or, you know, be like people they see on TV or successful platforms they see on social media. But you can only pretend to be someone else so long. Your own personality is the only thing that's going to separate you from somebody else. And that doesn't mean you have to have a loud personality. That doesn't mean you have to have a bold personality. But honestly, just being yourself is what's going to, obviously, you know, your knowledge and passion. But a lot of people have knowledge about sports. A lot of people have passion about sports. So what's going to separate you is honestly being yourself and showing up as yourself consistently and authentically. I feel like when you are creating your own platform.
Love it.
Symone, you had boots on the ground at the draft. Was there any pick in that first round where everybody was kind of like, oh, they snapped? Like, that was a great pick, and everybody at consensus was kind of like, yeah, they just did it when they did that one.
Obviously it was a lot of like shock, with the Jags trading up just because of what they gave up. They gave up so much, so it was like a bold move. I feel like people knew that somebody was going to possibly trade up for Travis, but I didn't think that they expected the haul that the Cleveland Browns got. So there was definitely like a lot of shock and like, oh my goodness, they gave up a first round pick in 2026. So essentially 2 first round picks were spent on Travis Hunter. So I know there was a lot of gasp and shock around there. I would say the biggest shock honestly was Jackson Dart, like where I kind of felt like, people, the room is like, what, you know what I mean? A lot of stuff kind of went as predicted, I would say, up until the Giants trading back in. Once the Giants traded back in, I think a lot of people, including myself, thought it was going to be Shadur Sanders. And then I felt definitely like a big shock and gasp in the room when the trade up was for Jackson Dart. So I think that was the only time I really felt like a shift in energy.
Symone, I totally agree with you, but I agree with you from the opposite end of the spectrum, because I fancy myself as a habitual line stepper, as a guy who says, hey, watch this, hey man, hold my beer. And I was feeling the collusion all week long and going through the first round. And when they traded back in, I said, you know what? This is going to be a hold my beer moment. They finna actually stick it to him a little more.
Yeah, I was.
And then not only get him, but get a guy from Ole Miss, if you hear me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, here you go. Here you go.
Yeah, I was like gas. I mean, my jaw was on the floor for a minute. I didn't see that coming at all. I didn't see them, 1, trading back in, and then 2, trading up into the first round for Jackson Dart. Not saying Jackson Dart can't be him, but I just never heard heard that he was going to be somebody that you have to trade into the first round for, especially when I felt like he would have been there in the second round. Just seemed like a bold statement move.
Because they were picking early in the second. So it's not like they were the back end. But nevertheless, I want to ask you this, because, if Chico did what you do, he wouldn't be Chico with the sports. He would be Chico with the shit. But you are Symone with the sports. And I've seen you cover all the sports. And I particularly enjoy your baseball coverage because, 1, you don't see a lot of us covering baseball. And then 2, baseball. Like you ain't just out there covering it. You're into it. Out of all the professional coverage you've been doing out there, or even collegiate, what's like the sport that you think is like your personal call and personal passion?
As far as watching, obviously NFL is my favorite sport to watch. As just a consumer and a fan, I think as a reporter or a commentator, I really like doing basketball. Because obviously, it's indoors. Like doing sideline for football it's a lot of work. I mean, you're in the elements, you walking up and down that the 100-yard line. Like it's a lot of work physically. Basketball is kind of like, everything is right there. Like, somebody injured, you can see it right there. You can get from huddle to huddle quickly. You're inside, you're indoors, AC controlled environment every single time. So I really like doing basketball as a sideline reporter. I'm starting to get some play-by-play experience, actually doing some high school baseball games in Georgia. So been doing some playoff games. So I really like doing baseball and softball when it comes to a play-by-play perspective, because that's something I'm trying to get more experience in. And baseball and softball, it's just so much time that you're granted as a broadcaster, because it's so much downtime. You got the whole lineup. There's no real surprises that's coming up. So it's just easier to like just get in your bag and just like lean more on your personality. I feel like when you're doing baseball play-by-play, you have a lot of downtime, a lot of time to tell stories, a lot of time to chit chat. versus basketball play-by-play, because it's just like you trying to keep up with everything, you know, substitutions. By the time this play happened, that next play happened, and all that. So play-by-play, love doing baseball and softball. As a sideline reporter, basketball, and then as a fan, football.
I gotta go a quick follow-up in there because I know you're an Eagles fan, which we can clearly see. Much to my dismay. Don't understand it, but I'll allow it. But you're in the ATL, based in the ATL, and when you saw the Falcons fiasco with the security breach, what's been the vibe there in the city? Duke's, you can see behind Duke's, he ATL native.
Yeah,
he got his dirty bird stuff. We heard his take. What is your take, being in Atlanta? What's the vibe?
It just seemed like it's always something. Like, it's just always something with the Falcons. Like, they have a great draft. I feel like one of their best drafts in years. They check all the boxes. They finally go get some Georgia Bulldogs. They load up on the edge rushers, and then boom, they're getting their praises. You know what I mean? Like, all offseason, last season, they getting clowned because of Kirk Cousins, you know, taking Penix at 9 after paying Kirk the bag. They redeemed themselves in the draft. And then, of course, it's the Falcons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's just always them with some BS.
They falcon it up, as Duke said. They falcon it up.
Rebuttal,
falcon it up. So now the headlines is all about that versus being able to focus on this great draft that they had.
Church. Who said it better?
I want to go to the beginning, like I always do. Let's get your background. Tell us your background, where you come from, and how did you get your start in sports journalism?
So I actually did in college, I went to NC State, Wolfpack. So I majored in sports management in college. I knew I wanted to do something sports related, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do coming out of high school. So I did sports management. In sports management, we were able to like get exposed to so many different areas of sports. So I did a lot in marketing, did a lot in finance, did some operations, did a little athletic training, pretty much anything on campus, because our department was really small. So anytime any event came on campus, they were always like hitting up our sports management department, like any students want to get involved. So I got exposed to a lot of different things, got to get a lot of good internships in college that really boosted my resume. So I actually minored in accounting in college, because when I did a preliminary, like I had to do a prereqs. So I did an accounting class randomly. I was really good at it. So I just picked up accounting as my minor. So I was able to get a lot of different internships because I was so niche down. So I was able to do an internship with the Charlotte Hornets, ended up doing like an internship with the Atlanta Dream in finance. So then when I graduated, before I was graduating, I've always been a talker and I've always talked about sports. That's always what I did. But I didn't think like broadcasting was something that was realistic, because, you know, like a few years ago, it just seemed like, you know, something just a few people did. So I never really took like a broadcasting opportunity serious in college. And then everybody's like, all my friends and stuff, they're like, you need to be talking about sports. You need to be talking about sports. You need to be talking about sports. I'm like, yeah. Okay. So then when I graduated, I was doing my internship with the Atlanta Dream, a finance internship. And I was just exposed to a lot of different people, a lot of different things. And then once I was like starting to get around like different broadcasters and being exposed to that in Atlanta, I was like, okay, this can be a real career path. So I actually started writing, wrote for the newspaper here in Atlanta, the Atlanta Voice. So writing was also something that I was really good at. And I actually really enjoy writing, which is actually a big part of being a reporter, is writing. So I will cover like the Falcons, Hawks, all the pro teams, writing. Then I started getting some more on-camera opportunities, met HBCU Game Day, which y'all are familiar with. A veteran broadcaster, Tali Carr, he works for HBCU Game Day. He was actually the sports reporter in my hometown growing up. So he kind of took me under his wing when it came to getting on-camera opportunities. And
I love how you just called Tali old without calling him. I'm going to make you see this.
I said veteran.
But you also know when I was growing up, he was a sportscaster.
He was up and coming. He was up and coming when I was like, he was like just starting to get in his bag. You know what I'm saying?
In other words, when he was 18, he was 62. That was you alluding to. Shout out to Tyler Carl. You old. I know your back hurts somewhere, Tyler. We'll talk to you.
So you were born in North Carolina or Georgia? Or Carolina
North
or
Carolina.
Georgia? Okay. All right,
Yeah.
cool.
So
And-
just staying outside, honestly, like as y'all know, you got to be doing something all the time. Atlanta obviously is a hub of events, hub of sports. So just staying outside, networking, taking any opportunity, honestly, I could get.
Love it. Love it.
I wanted to ask you about the Eagles draft. So one of my mentees was a 5th round draft pick, Smile Monday.
Yes.
Out of UGA. And when I looked at for what they did in the draft, they really did it again. Like they usually they were able to draft positions of luxury in the 5th round. When you think about adding a guy like Smile, when you already have Jahad Campbell as a 1st round pick. Talk to me about the Eagles draft and what you like the most, and who may be your sleeper pick to really shine.
So first of all, I love that we got Smile. I feel like at this point, an Eagles draft is not complete without a Georgia Bulldog on defense.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I feel like we had a great draft. We go best available 1st round with Jahad Campbell. Jahad Campbell obviously dealing with a little bit of injury, but he fell to us. I had to trade up a little bit for him. He's local from the Philly area, grew up Eagles fan, so it's like the perfect fit for him coming here. Nakobe Dean got hurt for us last season, so the last couple of games of the season in the playoffs, Nakobe Dean was hurt. So Jahad Campbell can come in instantly, be a day one starter on the inside with Nakobe Dean hurt. He's also someone that can play on the edge too. So it's like the perfect 2-on-1 because we did lose Brandon Graham to retirement and Josh Sweat, who went to the Cardinals as offseason. So Jahad is kind of like that perfect fit. So he can, be that Nakobe Dean while Nakobe Dean is hurt, but he can also be effective on the edge as well. I love our number 2 pick. 2nd round, we get a safety, Andrew Makuba, great in coverage.
I like that.
A guy out of Texas. And obviously we lost CJ. So in our first 2 picks, we get guys that can be day one starters, obviously if everything go right. But I love those first 2 picks. Makuba has that same kind of attitude that CJ has, like the little grit. You DB, you gotta have a little mouthpiece on you. So I really love the Makuba pick. Like I said, great in coverage. That's what we need. And he's a thumper. He hit stick, and that's what we're gonna be missing a little bit. But my sleeper pick, one of my favorite, honestly, picks is our 4th round pick, Ty Robinson, defensive tackle out of Nebraska. Y'all covering Colorado. Y'all seen Ty Robinson. This is a guy I'm excited about with Jalen Carter. Like, he's huge, but he's athletic. 4.8 at the combine. He had 6 sacks last season, all pretty much from the interior. So like getting that pressure from the inside with Jalen Carter, because obviously Jordan Davis is like our run stuffer. But to have somebody next to Jalen Carter that can, be a pass rusher as well, like that's going to be huge. Having that rotation with him, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis. Just picked up Jordan Davis's 5th-year option, so that's looking like the core of the future. So Ty is one I'm really excited about. He was number 1 in quarterback hurries for a defensive tackle. So just continuing to have that pressure and a guy next to Jalen Carter that can be a pass rusher as well. And then, like you said, next picks, we just kind of going best available, filling pieces. I really love Smile. I feel like we said, Nakobe Dean is hurt. So, any depth we can get at linebacker is going to be big, especially with Vic Fangio, because Vic Fangio, he's a linebacker wizard. Like, he loved linebackers. So I just feel like we saw what he did last season with Zach Baum. We saw what he did with Nakobe Dean, because Nakobe Dean was on the hot seat kind of pretty much before Vic Fangio came here. And, Nakobe Dean has one of his best seasons. So I'm really excited for Smile coming into this Vic Fangio defense. Our last pick, we go Antoine Powell-Ryland, edge rusher, 16 sacks last season at Virginia Tech. So to get a guy like that with our last pick, just adding to a rotation, hopefully we can get some production out of him early. I really, really like this draft.
I got to tell you, Symone, I'm going to try to say it without the vomit coming all the way up. So give me a second.
Yes.
I wish I had my Jerry back from the 90s, because my Jerry in the 90s, he knew how to get his ass kicked and then go buy off what kicked his ass. So I said, I tell you what, man, I bet we won't lose that Deion Sanders no more because we finna get him over here. I really wish Jared and boys would get together, open up the checkbook, and just say, hey, Eagle Scout Department, we're gonna buy all y'all.
Y'all got so many guys off our top 30 visit. Y'all was already shopping off our list.
Well,
Let me
answer your question with a question. Did y'all win the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Why would we do that?
Well, I'm saying, let
me tell you why Chico didn't graduate from Bible college. Chico copied off a dumb SOB like him. No, copy off the smart people. Copy off who winning. That's what I'm gonna go copy off. Hey, what you get, Duke? Duke say, hey, what you get, Chico?
Symone and left.
Why would I copy off Chico?
Man, you just got traumatized from copying off people when the teacher kicked you out of the classroom for copying a person's name and putting it on your paper too. Chico, like how dumb can you get? You can't copy the person's name.
Let me tell you how right you are, Chico. I used to copy so much, the teacher made me come sit up by them. And then what they didn't realize, she had the answer key where I could see it. So I was sitting in the class. I'd be like, 23 is A. 23 is A. Like, man, we're gonna beat the system now. We can look.
I can see you being bad. I can see you being bad in class.
Most definitely. He's bad on the show. So
when Symone, I want to give you some props for something you touched on that a lot of people sleep on. In order to want to be something, you got to see it. That old adage, you got to see it to be it. And when we look at like the big boys out there, the ESPNs, the Fox Sports, blah, 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 blah. If you take away the people on those panels who are not retired from the sport, everybody else started off as writers.
Yeah.
Because everybody has a phone and internet access, people just jump straight to their face on the screen instead of honing their writing craft. Like, I hope my intern Terrence too is watching, because I be telling Terrence all the time, man, start writing.
Yeah, for sure.
Writing is what's going to get you there. You have to get the pen out the paper because it helps you with your thoughts, expression, blah, blah, blah. You can't just go right to the camera.
Right.
And so you touch on that, even though you had the resources to go right to camera, it's like, no, writing builds the platform.
Absolutely. And like you said, even when you're doing videos on camera, like you writing scripts, you know what I mean? So you can tell that story. Like even when I'm doing my YouTube videos, like the writing aspect helps a lot when it comes to, structuring the video how you want to. And then even doing sideline reporting, like you're writing all the time, literally as a sideline reporter, you're literally writing your stories. So, people see you on camera and they assume, you're just talking, presenting on camera, but no, writing is definitely a big part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, y'all see on the screen, Symone Stanley at Symone with the Sports. So make sure you hit up on her IG. Make sure you subscribe to her YouTube. She ain't going nowhere. I'm just letting y'all know where to find her at, because you got to make sure we like, share, and subscribe to all our guests that come on, as well as Deuce the Scoop channel, Big Dog Chico channel. If you're sitting there watching on Pregame Network and you ain't hit the like and subscribe, what the hell is wrong with you on this Friday? Like, I just don't get it. Like, hit it. Hey, you got something in the chat? Make it a super chat. We'll make sure we see it. But so far, the chat is just feeling Symone is finding in Persian saying.
That's a good one. I never heard that one, though.
That's a first. That's definitely a first.
We say finding a frog hair in Mississippi. Man, you never seen no frog with no nappy hair. That comb go right through that thing.
Man, what?
Persian saying.
That's the first time I heard that.
I like that one.
Man, that's crazy, man. In Georgia, in the country, they say finding the hair on the frog hair.
I never heard that either.
That's some fine hair.
Yeah.
That ain't like, I want y'all to look at Chico hair. It's the opposite of that.
Get him back, dog. Get him back. Get him back.
When it's funny, I'll laugh. That was quick right there. That was quick. we just said Alabama. She found it in the mother. That's what we said.
Yeah, that's all I heard.
That's quick and easy. Hey, Symone, I don't see the exact question, but somebody asked a ways back in the chat about HBCU coverage this fall. What was the storyline that you're most looking to cover? I'm paraphrasing that.
What story look to cover this football? Oh, honestly, basketball season, all the shifting of the coaches in the SWAC with Dante Jackson going to Alabama A&M, and then Patrick Crary going to Grambling. So I think basketball season is definitely going to be spicy with all the shuffling of the coaches. So I'm excited for that.
Don't forget Heisman Trophy at FAMU.
Huh?
Charlie Ward is at FAM.
Oh yeah, Charlie Ward. Yeah, at FAMU. So yeah, all the coaching like changes. Like, I know a lot of people got their eyes on Patrick Curry because what he did at FAMU, going to Grambling, and then Dante Jackson going to Alabama A&M. So a lot of shuffling. So I'm definitely excited for that basketball season.